It's broken, that's why.
Okay,
Okay.
Yes, we're on.
call the meeting to order. This is the July 6th, 2026 meeting of the Planning Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we will approve the minutes
Wait, let's take a
of,
motion first to appoint you as vice chair.
what's that?
Motion to appoint you as vice chair, as acting chair.
Oh, I say that? Motion
Somebody
to-
has to.
Someone's gotta make a
All
motion.
Doesn't matter, one of the
I've
board
been
members
told by
can say.
council
I
since,
make a motion to appoint Valerie Laverdere as vice chair,
Acting.
acting vice chair, pro tem.
okay.
Need a second?
All those in
Wait,
favor?
Oh, you need a
seconding?
Second.
Thank
Second.
you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'll offer a resolution to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Need a second.
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 Mr.
Okay.
Slater, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved as written. First order of business is a public hearing on the Lake Ellis Country Inn. And we have a motion to call the public hearing to order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Cool. Good to see you all again. For the public's benefit, I'm just going to do a very quick rundown. So what we have here is a special use permit for a country inn and conference center. It's on a parcel of 236 acres. The applicant is proposing to convert 2 existing structures into temporary lodging facilities. The main house with 12 units and the guest house annex with 6. Since we last met, we pretty much checked off all our boxes. The highway department signed off on it, fire department signed off on our improvements, and we submitted a new large event note, which is going to be proposed for the site plan as part of the final site. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of the board's questions on the note, or the plan, or anything that they have. So with that, that's it.
Does anyone have any questions on the board?
Nope.
No question.
No, I'm happy with the revisions.
Consultants have any comments?
So, we had a question. Can you just confirm that an event is limited to a single day? And it's not, event is not defined in and of itself?
Oh, so you would specify a day? Yes.
Well, I'm asking if that's the
Yeah,
intention.
that's what we're intending, yep.
Okay. So, I mean, if that's the intent, I would like something just to say that event, you know, an event is no more than 24 hours.
Okay, we can easily amend that, just a day, 24 hours, something like that.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments by the other?
If there's no public comments and we close the hearing, we can move on to the seeker stuff, but I'll wait until that happens.
Okay. There's no comments from the public, so we will go ahead and move on to the
Motion to close.
resolution.
Close the public
Motion to
hearing.
close.
Oh, we have to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we have a resolution to adopt a negative declaration and grant site plan approval and special use permit approval. And the resolution has been reviewed by the planning board members. And we'll read the important part of the
Well, before we-
resolution. No?
We can do that. But before we vote, I do want to go through the EAF while Marilyn's bringing it
Oh,
up. But let's
okay.
go through the resolution.
She's gonna, you wanna go through the resolution first?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay.
Part two?
Now therefore be it resolved that for the reasons set forth in parts 2 and 3 of the FEAF, which are incorporated herein, the planning board hereby issues a negative declaration determining that the project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that the draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it therefore resolved that the planning board makes the following findings pursuant to section 145-63 of the town code. The project complies with all land use district, overlay district, and other specific requirements of the zoning law and other local laws and regulations, and will be consistent with the purposes of the zoning law and the applicable zoning districts. A country inn is a permitted use on the property. 2, the project will not result in excessive off-premises noise, dust, odors, solid waste, or glare, or create any public or private nuisances. Due to the infrequency of events, no impacts related to noise are anticipated. The proposed project will comply with Chapter 107 of the Town Code due to the size of the property and the distance between the central core and the property lines, as well as the lakefront. Through notes included in the site plan set, the applicant will place temporary facilities within existing established mowed lawn areas and not within 50 feet of any property lines, and will position any noise amplification devices utilized during occasional events in a manner that faces away from Ellis Pond. The project will not cause significant traffic congestion, impair pedestrian safety, or overload existing roads, considering their current width, surfacing, and condition, and any improvements proposed to be made to them by the applicant. The project will limit the number of guests on the property during large events, defined as events with at least 150 attendees, to 200 people, and limit the number of large events to 15 per year. The J.H. Ketchum Hose Company Incorporated and Town Highway Department have reviewed the project plans and have no concerns. 3, the project will be accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. The project was reviewed by J.H. Ketchum Hose Company Incorporated and the Town Highway Department, and all comments, concerns related to access, parking, and the condition of Lake Ellis Road have been addressed. The site plan set includes areas dedicated to overflow parking to be used during events which have been determined to be adequate. 4, the project will not overload any public water drainage or sewer system or any other municipal facility. The project will utilize existing private on-site systems for water, stormwater drainage, and wastewater disposal. 5, the project will not materially degrade any watercourse, wetland, or other natural resource or ecosystem, or endanger the water quality of an aquifer. The property is already developed, and planned alterations to the property do not involve significant site disturbances. The applicant has determined that the work proposed in the core area of the property related to septic system upgrades is outside of the property's wetlands and the 100-foot adjacent area for those wetlands. This is confirmed through review of the topography on the plans and observations made during the planning board site visit. 6, the project will be suitable for the property on which it is proposed, considering the property's size, location, topography, vegetation, soils, natural habitat, and hydrology, and its ability to be buffered or screened from neighboring properties and public roads. The project is centrally located on a large parcel, and the distance and forested areas of the parcel provide some buffering and screening from adjoining properties. Due to the siting of the elements of the project and the fact that there is limited amount of additional disturbances to the property, the project will be suitable for the site. 7, the project will be subject to such conditions on operation, design, and layout of structures and provision of buffer areas as may be necessary to ensure compatibility with surrounding uses and to protect the natural, historic, and scenic resources of the town. Due to the infrequency of events, no impacts related to noise are anticipated. The proposed project will comply with Chapter 107 of the Town Code due to the size of the property and the distance between the central core and the property lines, as well as the lakefront. Through notes included on the site plan set, the applicant will place temporary facilities within existing established mown lawn areas and not within 50 feet of any property line, and will position any noise amplification devices utilized during occasional events in a manner that faces away from Ellis Pond. 8, the project will not adversely affect the to sign the site plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. 2, revision of the site plan set to include the outdoor event notes.
So, I would recommend that last note just have this additional language added that says, with additional language limiting each event to no more than 24 hours. So that would just get added to the notes.
Perfect.
So before the board goes to vote, if there's any discussion, you can have it, but we need to go through the seeker EAF form. Part 2. You had it up before.
I know, I had it. Here it is.
So Planner Warner,
I can go through it quick.
you want to quickly
Yeah.
go through?
So the categories that had a yes checked off is for the main question were impact on land, groundwater. I'm just going to scroll through the larger thing.
But where you're checking yes, you're recommending
Yeah,
everything
where you
is
check
no or
yes, you go
no.
through the sub-questions. So rather than going through each one, I think we can just go through the ones where that's
Mhm.
been confirmed. Noise, odor, and light. And that's it. So if we go back to the top, impact on land is yes, just because there is alteration happening at the site, but all that is being done was to upgrade the septic system around the main house and the garage. So there's really no other site disturbance. So everything that's, the sub-questions are all not applicable or no or small impact. So that's how that was filled out. Any questions on that one? Okay, so if we go down to surface waters was checked no, just because even though there's wetlands on the site, we're nowhere near them. You know, there's no disturbance happening within 100 feet of them, so check no for that. For number 4, groundwater, it's a yes, just because the use will use groundwater. And, you know, there already is a well there. It's got Department of Health oversight. They're already upgrading the septic system. So all these things are no or small impact below the main question. moving along,
Yeah.
down to the noise, odor, and light. When I get there, hang on. Skipped it.
Found it.
Okay, number 15. So, right now it's basically a single-family house and a garage. It's being converted into lodging units for a country inn special permit. So, there will be increases in noise. There really won't be any increase in outdoor lighting, odors. I don't believe there'll be a significant increase either because it's not like a commercial kitchen or anything like that. So it's really just noise is like the potential issue for only when there's large events. Given the nature of the property, it's a very large property, over 200 acres. This core area is where the events would be. It's already very far away from property lines. I don't think there's going to be an issue complying with the town code for noise within the distance of the property lines. The applicant's committed to orient any speakers or noise generating equipment away from the pond because, as you know, noise can travel over water faster and louder. So turning those things away from the pond and I guess towards the north would be required through the site plan notes. So, that's enforceable by the town as well because it's part of the notes. So having looked through all the questions, there's no blasting proposed. There's no other real disturbance. They're not proposing any new outdoor lighting. What's there is remaining. I just put no or small impact for all those sub-questions. That's pretty much the extent of the questions that required initial discussion. Everything else was a no because it just isn't applicable or, yeah.
So part 3 was prepared, which
Yep.
it's very similar to the findings, the special use permit findings, if you just want to pull up the part 3, Marilyn.
So part 3 itself, the form just has a reference to the standalone negative declaration, which I made a separate document because we elaborate on all the different questions that need to be elaborated on. So it just references that separate document. It includes the box checked for unlisted action, noting that we got parts 1, 2, and 3, and then it's a negative declaration without need for an EIS. And I signed it at the bottom.
So if no one has any changes, if no one has any changes, you can adopt, you can move to adopt the resolution.
So there's a negative declaration that stands alone by itself, dated July 20th. It's a separate document that goes through the 12 criteria of seeker determining significance. So you've seen this format before. It describes the action, what was reviewed, and then the reasons for determination 1 through 12. Actually 13 now that there's a new question about disadvantaged communities, which is number 13. Any of these, it didn't really apply. There's no explanation, but for some of them, there's a little blurb underneath elaborating on why there's no impact anticipated. And it ties into the part 2 that we just went through.
We have a resolution to approve, motion to approve the resolution as read with the one amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Member Palmer,
Aye.
Member Williams,
Aye.
Member Sudor,
Aye.
Member LaRobidier.
Aye. Okay.
Very cool. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Set. Okay, next we have public hearing for 207 Dual Hall Road. Can we have a motion to call the public hearing to order?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask who moved that? I missed it. Thank you.
Evan Pendleton with Insight Engineering Survey and Landscape Architecture. Just a quick summary of the project. It's located on a 45-acre site on the north side of the intersection between Duval Road and Birdsville Road. There's an existing eroded channel which begins at the corner of the property and runs from south to north towards the on-site DEC wetland. There's a culvert at the road, which is where the road channel is formed from. The project proposes to stabilize the channel. The portion outside the DEC adjacent area is going to be relocated. So the existing channel will be built in, and we'll be grading a new stabilized channel. And then the portions within the wetland and the adjacent buffer will just be regraded and stabilized in the same alignment that it is currently. The DEC was on site, they delineated the wetland, it was surveyed, and we have a validation map for it. We did make a submission to the DEC for a freshwater wetland permit on May 27th. I followed up with them recently at the end of last week. They're still reviewing the application, so we haven't gotten any comments back yet. But as far as that, it's kind of update.
Do we want to read this first and then discuss? or- Okay. Does anyone on the planning board have any questions, comments, wish to speak?
None here.
I did a site
Or
walk
anyone
there.
from the public have, wish to speak?
There's no one signed up.
No one signed up?
No one signed up.
Do the consultants have anything they wish to say?
No, I'll do the same thing we did last time. We'll go through if there's any public comment, and if you close the hearing, we can talk about the seeker resolution and the neg deck.
I do have one question. Do you plan on doing no work until you get the freshwater wetland permit, correct?
Yeah, we wouldn't start, it doesn't make sense
Okay.
to do half
I don't know, that's what I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. We,
You want to start with the part two?
the EAF?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do the same thing we did before. Okay, is that it? Okay, so for this one, it's even less questions that were yes. It was impact on land, critical environmental areas, and surface water, pretty much. This is just it's a stream stabilization, a channel stabilization project, so yes, they're impacting the land, but all of these sub-questions were no or small impact. It's not a large project, so that's what number 1 is doing. Impact on surface waters, 3. There are wetlands on the property and adjacent properties, including 100-foot buffers to those wetlands, which are the adjacent areas, which are also regulated by DEC. The applicant had DEC come out and delineate the wetlands. They are regulated by the state. They included the validation map signed by the DEC staffer that delineated them, so those are officially valid. I think they're valid for 5 years once they're delineated. So they are required to get a freshwater wetlands permit for any of the work that they have to do, and they've already, as he mentioned, submitted that to DEC. So with that in place, it's pretty clear that there's, any impacts are going to be taken care of, mitigated by themselves. Like the project will self-mitigate any potential impacts to wetlands with whatever DEC requires in the permit. So no or small impact is checked off for all of those questions on number 3. We move on to critical environmental areas, number 12. So this parcel is within the Dual Hollow Brook CEA, which is regulated, it's not really regulated, but it's identified by the town of Dover and DEC as a critical environmental area. The project itself is designed to improve drainage conditions. It's gonna have oversight by DEC. As part of the wetland permitting process, they know that it's a critical environmental area, so there'll be measures in place through the permit to address any potential impacts there. So for the same reason, it's a yes for the main question, but I have a no or small impact for the sub-questions there. I also did check off the last question, number 19, disadvantaged communities, only because the area of the site is in a DAC, a disadvantaged community, which is a new part of Seeker now, where they have these areas identified for potential environmental burdens. It's not really applicable for, this isn't a power plant, this isn't a polluting facility, it's not industrial, it's not something that's emitting air pollutants, not discharging anything noxious into waterways. So even though it is a DAC, I thought it would be fine just to say yes, but have no or small impact for all the other ones, just to make sure we're thorough on that.
Any questions on the part 2 answers? Mary, do you want to pull up the narrative?
Yep, so the same thing as the last application. Description of the action, what we reviewed, and then the 13 topics or criteria. Talks about the DEC wetland process. It talks about Joe's review for the erosion sediment control in Chapter 65, all being looked at and acceptable. Number 2 talks a little bit about species, because we did identify this early on as an area that has potential for Indiana bat. So what was done was the applicant worked with DEC and the town to take down the trees that they had to take down within the window that's regulated for the bats by DEC. And they left them on the ground, so there wouldn't be any ground disturbance. So all that work's been done. And as the applicant mentioned, there's still going to be communicating with DEC on the permits they have to get, so shouldn't be any impact to species as a result of that either. And we talked about the CEA again, just the reason why, and then really didn't have to answer any of the other questions. So.
Thank
It's the
you.
neg deck, yep.
Okay, we have a resolution to adopt a determination of significance and grant erosion and sediment control permit and site plan approval. Now therefore be it resolved that for the reasons set forth in parts 2 and 3 of the FEAF, which are incorporated herein, the planning board hereby adopts a negative declaration determining that the project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it therefore resolved, be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants the applicant site plan approval for disturbances as shown on the site plan set and authorizes the chair to sign the site plan set, subject to the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants the applicant an erosion and sediment control permit for disturbance as shown on the site plan set, subject to the following conditions. 1, submission of $1,000 for an inspection escrow for the town engineer. 2, submission of a performance guarantee in the amount of $10,000 in form, substance, and manner of execution, acceptable to the town attorney and the town board. 3, the applicant shall obtain freshwater permit approval, freshwater wetland permit approval from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation prior to commencement of construction activities and provide the planning board with a copy of the permit. 4, the applicant shall coordinate all work within the vicinity of the existing culvert beneath Dual Hollow Road with the town highway department. Be it further resolved that before the authorized official may issue a certificate of compliance, the planning board engineer shall provide the authorized official with a written statement indicating that all work authorized under the erosion and sediment control permit has been completed in accordance with the approved permit. Could we have a motion for this resolution to be adopted?
So moved.
Second.
And will the clerk please call the roll?
Member Palmer,
Aye.
Member Williams,
Aye.
Member Sudor,
Aye.
Member LaRobier.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the town board wishes us to make a resolution appointing them lead agency. That we have received the coordinated review package for the 2026 Town of Dover zoning code update, and we either consent or do not consent for the Town of Dover Town Board to be the lead agency. Is there any discussion?
No discussion.
So I'm presuming that we want to give Town Board lead agency. Could we have a resolution moving that we do accept them?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Do we have to have a formal call? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have a motion to suspend the August meetings so that we will resume meetings again in September.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So,
Do you want to talk about the zoning at all, Mary Lou?
No, other than it's out for review. It's referred. They went out this morning, and probably the town board will have a public hearing on it at the August meeting.
okay.
Any comments, please make sure you get it to me or to Nicole, the town clerk, within the next 30 days.
That's comments on the zoning package. Okay, great. There's nothing further. Have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.